So let's just look at what's happened in my state of California. You have many, many districts, many documented cases of a school that has actively encouraged a child to identify with a new gender. And they did this without the parents' knowledge, without the parents' consent, and then they lied to the parents.
So here is the question nobody in Washington wants to answer out loud. Who actually has authority over your kids? Is it the parents who raise them, provide for them, and show up every day? Or is it a federal bureaucracy sitting hundreds of miles away in Washington? DC, what you just witnessed was Representative Kevin Kiley delivering a hard dose of reality during a committee hearing, and honestly, it was long overdue, while Representative Ilhan Omar and the rest of the squad tried to spin this debate as nothing more than a budget fight, waving around phrases like civil rights and funding cuts. Representative Kevin Kiley cut straight through the noise, because once you strip away the talking points, you see what is really being defended: a system that assumes the government knows your child better than you do. Stay with us, because we are breaking down exactly how Representative Kevin Kiley tore apart the idea that more federal money automatically means better education, and why California is the cautionary tale the rest of the country should be paying attention to. Let us dive in.
I find it utterly ridiculous that this administration can gut almost half of the staff of the Department of Education, eliminate millions in funding, direct the illegal closure of the entire department, and then turn around and pretend that the fundamental operations and responsibilities of the department will still be preserved. They hollowed out the Office of Civil Rights, yet claim that they can still carry out their legal obligation to protect the students from discrimination. They fired the entire legal team that provided guidance to states on how to implement IDEA, and yet claim that they will still be able to provide equal opportunity to kids with disability. Republicans and the administration should be honest about what is happening here. Abject abandonment of the statutory duties and the congressional authority. This resolution of inquiry is simply asking the administration to explain how they will faithfully carry out the laws that are mandated by Congress. I believe that to claim our education system will be improved or even preserved after the actions of this administration is delusional at best and lying to the American people at worst.
I recognize the gentleman from California, Representative Kiley.
So let's just look at what's happened in my state of California. You have many, many districts, many documented cases of a school that has actively encouraged a child to identify with a new gender. And they did this without the parents' knowledge, without the parents' consent, and then they lied to the parents about it. We have many documented cases of a parent confronting the school and the school or personnel lying about it, and even fabricating and doctoring documents, changing the child's name on assignments that were handed in. I mean, just imagine what this looks like in practice if you are not allowed to say that the child is using a different name or a different gender identity. So you're using one name and one set of pronouns with the child in class, and their parents come in and suddenly you have to switch. You're using a different name and a different set of pronouns. This is absolute madness. So because of the prevalence of this across our state, a number of responsible districts came forward and said, we're not going to do this. We're going to put protections for students and their families into our district policy and say that this is something that parents have the right to know about. So how does the state respond? The Attorney General, with the backing of the governor, they immediately start suing these districts. They start filing lawsuits trying to get binding legal judgments that will force these districts to lie to parents. And then on top of that, the supermajority legislature passes a bill and the governor signs it that, as a matter of state law, says that we are not going to allow districts to tell parents the truth. Now, thankfully, many of those lawsuits are being rejected by the courts, and the Trump administration has now launched an investigation challenging that new state law for violating the Federal Education Rights and Privacy Act. And finally, I want to address this idea that there's somehow a contradiction between this bill and the commitment our committee has to local control in education. That is absolutely not the case. We support local control in education because we believe that curriculum and school offerings and the different options available to parents should reflect the values of the community, that there should be direct input from the community and local elected officials, and a whole host of other reasons, such as allowing for innovation and the fact that the schools generally are not run best from Washington, D.C. But that doesn't mean that we can't have civil rights laws. We have civil rights laws in this country that provide a basic level of protection for the dignity of each person, and there are particular civil rights laws that are attendant to an educational context, including protections against discrimination on the basis of sex, and including FERPA, the Federal Educational Rights and Privacy Act. So we will continue to actively promote local control in education. I think we're going to see enormous progress in that respect from this committee, from the new administration, and it will have great benefits across the country. But we will not permit federal education dollars to be used to create a dangerous wall of separation between kids and their parents. I yield.
Let us start with Representative Ilhan Omar opening remarks. You could practically predict them word for word, gutting the department civil rights discrimination. It is the same script the squad runs every single time. The message is simple if you question the size of government, you must hate kids. But Representative Kevin Kiley stepped in with a reality check that completely flipped the narrative. The real question is not how much money we are spending, it is what that money is actually being used for. Representative Ilhan Omar wants you to picture the Department of Education as some kind of noble protector. Representative Kevin Kiley, speaking from firsthand experience in California, exposed what is actually happening when these policies are put into practice. This is not about teaching reading, writing, and math anymore. It is about state-enforced secrecy. And when Representative Kevin Kiley described it as building a wall of separation between parents and children that should have sent chills down your spine, he pointed to real-world cases where schools are socially transitioning students, changing names, pronouns, even identities, while deliberately keeping parents in the dark. And here is the part that is hard to believe: when local school districts try to do the reasonable thing and say parents should probably know, the state government steps in and sues them. That is the disconnect right there. To Representative Ilhan Omar and others like her, the government is not a partner, it is the ultimate parent in that worldview. Your tax dollars are meant to fund federal agencies that issue guidelines encouraging schools to withhold critical information from families. They call it protection. But let us be honest, it is a power grab. It is the state declaring itself the primary authority in a child life. Representative Ilhan Omar talks endlessly about the Office for Civil Rights protecting students, but where are the rights of parents? Do moms and dads not have the right to know when their child is undergoing a major social or psychological shift? Representative Kevin Kiley was absolutely right to call this out. Keeping parents informed is not discrimination, it is common sense. It is basic decency. Think about it. If a student has a headache and needs medication, the school must call home. But if a student decides to change their gender identity, schools are told to keep it secret. That contradiction says everything, and Representative Kevin Kiley raises these concerns because he has seen where this road leads. California is not an outlier, it is a preview. When Representative Ilhan Omar defends the inner workings of the Department of Education, understand that this is the system she wants preserved nationwide. That is why this clip is blowing up. Parents from every political background, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, are all landing on the same conclusion: do not mess with our kids, and do not lie to us about them. This is not just about trimming a budget. Representative Kevin Kiley is standing up for the family itself. He is exposing how the funding Representative Ilhan Omar is fighting for often becomes a tool to pressure local districts into adopting extreme policies. So credit where it is due. Representative Kevin Kiley did not back down. We need more leaders willing to look the squad straight in the eye and say it plainly: the government does not own our children. Now I want to hear from you. Should schools ever be allowed to keep secrets from parents, or is Representative Kevin Kiley right that this wall of separation is a dangerous line we should never cross? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you do not miss the next breakdown of the insanity coming out of Washington. We will see you in the next one.